Get Back. This is a hard thing to even say, but one of the coolest Beatles songs out. One of their best rock and roll songs. From the tail end of their career, and something that just kind of came out because they were tired of each other, but they were also tired of studio trickery and everything they'd been doing since Sgt. Pepper and the White Album and Magical Mystery Tour and all of this highly studio trick stuff. Although on the White Album there were a lot of pretty cool kind of solo things. We got Blackbird and all this other things. And so in January of 1969, they got together to record an album more the way they had done their earlier albums, like Please Please Me. Just some rock and roll songs. Now, they didn't have a good supply of songs yet, but eventually they came up with stuff like Don't Bring Me Down and or Don't Let Me Down. And what else did we have in there? One After 909, which is a really old one. Anyway. And so they even planned on making this album called Get Back. They were even going to have a cover that looked like this. Just let me get that glare off of there for you. That looked just like the cover of Please Please Me, but taken in the same staircase with the way they looked then. And luckily, a lot of import albums exist now with all of this stuff on it. Some of the the one I was just showing you here was the second mix that Glyn Johns made of it. We have some other cool stuff. A rooftop concert called As Nature Intended that shows them, let me see, well, you get the idea. Anyway, of the whole 42 minutes that they played up on the roof at the end of the movie. Well, anyway, the movie Let It Be, I'm talking about, which is kind of difficult to come by nowadays. It hasn't quite been remastered and released. But anyway, I could go into the whole story about Get Back, which they spent the whole month of January 1969 trying to get some stuff together. They were recording it. It eventually got released as the movie Let It Be. But by the time they finished on January 30th or 31st of 1969, they just went all their separate ways and wanted nothing to do with it. Well, 6 months later, United Artists had a movie together and they needed a soundtrack. So they called Phil Spector in to sort through these 30 days worth of tapes and see what he could come up with. Well, they did manage to salvage Get Back and turn it into a single, and there were plenty of live versions and things there. But enough about the history on there. Let me tell you a little bit more about the song, because this was mostly a McCartney song, and he kind of had some nonsensical lyrics. The lyrics they were kind of goofing around at the time with some of the things that were going on in Great Britain politically, and had some lyrics that could have been racially misinterpreted, so they kind of softened it up and made it just sort of a goofy story about JoJo and Loretta. And but it's a really simple rock and roll song. 3 chords. A, D, A. And they'd occasionally throw in a Born on the Bayou type crash, G to D. There you have. That's the rhythm guitar part. A's, D's, and G's. All you need to know. Now, a really cool sideline of this is that Paul was in a good enough mood somehow, which was hard to believe for what else was going on at the time. Or maybe was just so happy with the song that he thought it would be fun to have John play some lead stuff. John didn't get the privilege playing lead very often in Beatles tunes. But, so anyway, George plays mostly a very simple rhythm guitar part. We'll talk about that. It'll probably take about 2 minutes when I get into the rhythm guitar section, because he just strummed pretty much open chords, occasionally put in a little punctuation. Little bluesy thing. But John really did all of the, I hate to call it heavy lifting, but all of the cool little licks that you hear in the background, the little answers, and sometimes we hear it as this. Anyway, we're going to look at all that. So this lesson's going to have a short section on the rhythm guitar part and mostly look at some of John's leads, but also kind of give you a way to play it by yourself like I just did there. I opened up with what we really hear George doing, and then John's part really turns into just a 12-bar type power chord thing. A and D. And back to A, except that's when he plays his cool little fills. So, okay, enough rambling about this. Let's get into a lesson on Get Back.